think we can start. We seem to be the only committed people.
I believe so. Looks like it.
We have received, I think, only one apology. A lady who is in Johannesburg. So the rest, I think we can just go ahead. If people come and they can join us, we can continue. We circulated the agenda online. I don't know whether we have enough hard copies, but it was circulated online.
Go ahead.
Are there any additional items we want to add or we can adopt it? The fairly flexible agenda. Yes, sir.
No, I just want to say, everybody's got a hard copy, so I think we accept what is on the table.
We can adopt what is here.
We're just adding on, let us just add on under welcome and apologies, if anybody's bringing any apologies. I did get one.
We have one. So we adopt the agenda and I welcome everybody. And if there are no additional items, some may arise as we go on. We will take them on this. There is no hard rules here. I just want to take the opportunity to welcome all of you to this our first annual general meeting. You will recall that the idea of having a society like ours, a forum, had been around for several years, but it took a bit of effort last year to get our forum registered with the company's registry, the old registry. It's now called the Companies and the Intellectual Property Commission. So we are registered formally or incorporated as a non-profit company, not an organization. We are a non-profit company, and therefore we are required to operate under the Companies Act of 2008. We have already made our first report or annual return to the company's registry, and we paid our fees. So on the agenda tonight, we are going to deal with the formal items, which are standard items in organizations like ours. Our first item is item number 3. We circulated a report, I don't know how many of us have seen it, where we tried to briefly summarize our activities since we were registered. We point out that we have been having a committee, which committee was turned into a board of directors, because under the Companies Act, you need to do that. So our committee here was supposed to be company promoters under company law, and we became directors. Out of the directors that were registered with the Companies Act, under the Companies Act and the registry, I am the chairperson. My name is Melvin Bao. I'm sure you know me. We have Martin Woodbridge, our secretary. We have this young man here, our treasurer, Riviera. We have a young lady who resides in Mafeking, but works in Johannesburg. Miss Iperen Mokoro, she's not here. She has apologized. We have Miss Beauty Mpaso, the director. And then our young man there also, Mr. Van Westhuizen. If my Afrikaans is not good, you must forgive me. I was born in Northern Rhodesia. And we had our friend Willem Faxel, who resigned sometime in May. That was the initial board of directors, or the original committee of the forum. Apart from registering the forum, we decided to have regular meetings in which we would address the issues facing our society, our Riviera Park North, Riviera Park South, and Aslakse. And what we did was to agree on what could be the short-term projects, the medium-term, and the long-term project, 3 categories. we started with an ambitious plan to build a boundary wall. That was our initial plan. A boundary wall along the railway reserve to close off this northern part of Riviera Park up to Aslaksen, up to the Riviera Park North and the bridge there. That plan, as I said, was our initial flag project, but it couldn't take off because it requires a lot of money. We approached the city council and we had the approval in principle to
the new one. There's spilled beer on the other one, so it could give you a nice dry one.
So we had council approval in principle to build the boundary wall, but our estimated budget, according to Martin, who did the initial costing, was in the region of 3 million rands. So we still have that item on the agenda, but it will require a lot of money and effort to raise that money. We toyed with putting a wire fence or a boundary wall, and either of the two would require a lot of money. So that item did not take off, but it's on our books. It had been approved in principle by the council. We attended the main meeting to get it approved. Then we decided to install security cameras, which I think most of you have seen at the entrance to Riviera Park. The security cameras are supposed to be helping us fighting crime. That's why I'm using the word suppose. But I think we have got some challenges, which I will point out briefly. The idea was to link our security cameras with the police and other security organizations. I'm sure when you go into other towns like Luxembourg and so on, and the family communities, we still have got high masts and the cameras like ours. So all the vehicles coming in are actually captured there. But we didn't realize that in the back of Aslaksen, there is another way to get out of Riviera Park. So that's the challenge, because we can capture all the cameras, all the vehicles coming in, but if the criminals want to go out, they don't go out there. They go out of the back door. So the camera is doing a very good job. I've been told not to talk too much about it, because sometimes what we can discuss here might jeopardize criminal investigations. But the camera is doing a good job. Some criminals who have committed armed robberies in town have been captured entering Riviera Park. I don't know if they live here or they just come here to change vehicles. And from Riviera Park, the police have not seen them going out, which means I think they have gone through the back door. So we have been using the cameras. We haven't been having access on daily basis, but it is capturing everything. So Martin and I are in the process of gaining access to the pictures or whatever is captured there, so that we share that information with you, the members. But it's basically working and it's helping the police. But so far, the challenge is to ensure that the criminals who go out that way do not do that. So we've told you the idea of getting Darius, but this is not for record. We have told you the idea of getting Darius and other people to close that door. I think the road, there's a tar road at the back there, but it's a municipal road, so we can't do it on our own. We have to get permission from the council. So that's about the camera. It's working. They've been capturing a lot of activities, including accidents and so on. And then we decided to address in the short term our security concerns. As you know, there have been a lot of break-ins almost on daily basis, sometimes hourly. But some of them happen during the day, some happen at the night when they come to steal our gate motors, to steal our cars and so on. So during the day we appointed 2 people to do security patrols. We have seen them on bicycles. So we spent a bit of money to buy the initial bicycles, and we had to go through a lot of repairing processes because the bicycles constantly break down because of the potholes and so on. But I think the appointment of these patrollers was well received from the communication that we put out to the community. They are visible during the day, and And the only challenge is, what do we do at night? So I want you to think about that. What do we do with the night patrols? Because during the day, our patrols have been able to scare some small, who I call petty criminals, who want to jump over the fence and steal. But during the night, we are sitting ducks. There's a lot of crime which happens at night. In some communities, they have put in like linking cameras with security companies, that if something happens at night, security companies can be able to pick what is happening and so on. So we might have to think about that. What happens when our patrols go home? We are on our own. So I want us to think about that in the course of our meetings or in the future. What should we do in the evenings? Should we raise money to install cameras in our roads and then link them with the security company in town who will be able to give us 24-hour patrol? That costs money, but we can think about that. We also did some other things apart from patrols. We cleared the site there where we wanted to put the wall, but that clearance was not permanent because the grass, obviously, when the rains came, the growth came back. But we are in the process of doing some more work there. Darius is helping us with equipment. We have asked the council to give us equipment. They have literally failed us. So we are still going to do some more clearance at the railway reserve, because most of the crimes take place there. People come in and at month ends they waylay our staff, our domestic workers who want to go through there, face trouble. So that is a crime hotspot, I think all the way up to the rugby club. And we need to keep on clearing the bush. But if we had managed to put a wall, that would be a permanent solution. Then we decided to work on our surroundings. Riviera Park, if you drive around, most of our vehicles are damaged. There are so many potholes, our street signs are gone, the speed humps are not there, etc., etc. We have been liaising with the council, we have been writing to them, we have been talking to them almost on a daily basis to do what they should do with the potholes. The initial reply was that they had their own list of priorities, and we were not. They told me Riviera Park was not number one on that list. When I told them that, but we pay a lot of rates, and therefore I would suggest that we don't pay the rates. When they come down, they change their language to say they will charge us depending on their budgeting processes and procedures, etc., etc. So the potholes are still there, and I don't know when they will come to Riviera Park. I've heard something on TV and on radio that the Minister of Transport is now involved, but I think they are doing that in Johannesburg. I don't know whether that will come to Northwest. But we have done everything with the council. We had a very good working relationship with the former municipal manager who lives in Riviera Park incidentally. He goes to the same portal every morning to go to work. We spoke to the council speaker. She was born and raised in Riviera Park. So the council is aware of our road situation, the potholes, and they have done nothing so far. We have tried on our own to paint the speed humps. You have seen that. We paid somebody money, which the treasurer will refer to, almost 7,000. Am I right? In the region of 7,000. To spare those funds, to repair them, just to paint them. Initially, the council said they would give us people to come and do it. They never did. So in the end, we ended up getting someone, because Willem and I tried one day. We took almost a whole day to do one. And then we discovered that I think maybe I was too old to do it. So we got the paint and got someone who was able to do it for us quicker than Willem and myself. But we also were in the process of trying to repair the stop signs. The stop signs are gone, and also to paint on the road. Some of the road junctions are full of potholes. So we have bought the paint, I think. We have the paint? or we are working with somebody, we ask someone to give us a quotation to say what can we do on our own to paint the stop signs and other things that we can do. You know, when you drive on Kissenbush, going all the way down the church, and even coming up here, you don't see any stop signs. And sometimes the signage for the road markings, they're also missing. Like if you are looking for mine in Interlaken, you won't find it. Someone who was building and doing some pavement decided to remove the signage. So we're working on that. We have somebody lined up to say if the council can't do it, then we are going to do it. The only challenge we have is on the stop signs where there are big potholes. We might need someone to do the potholes first before we can put the stop signs. And the issue of our surroundings sometimes it falls into what we may call challenges, but I don't want to be negative. I want to say there are issues which are in the pipeline. I referred to the stop signs and so on, but we have got a lot of challenges in relation to crime and generally what we call lawlessness. If you drive around the Riviera Park like Saturday, you will find that outside the shopping complex there, it's now like a free-for-all. People come all over the place to come and they park there during the day, and they're drinking openly. They open their cars and drink and make a lot of noise. But sometimes that place goes on until 2 a.m. from Friday up to Sunday. Martin and I have been to the liquor board. I'm talking about El Nino now. I don't know about the other places, but El Nino is our biggest challenge. We have been to the liquor board. We can't find the original minutes. When were they given a license? Whether anybody from Riviera Park, we were given an opportunity to object. There is no evidence of that. But the liquor board saying those people are licensed. They have a club liquor license. They can operate until 2 a.m. And if they can operate in a residential area until 2 a.m., then we have got serious trouble. So one possibility is to go to court and get it closed. Because if that continues next time, I think we are going to have a mortuary opened right in our midst. So the question of I'm talking about noise pollution. The question of general lawlessness. We have been, Martin and I have been to the police management meeting twice, I think, and we have asked the police to help us first with the noise at El Nino, but also general lawlessness. But I don't see the police are doing any visible patrols. They're not doing it. Just this afternoon, I was talking to the Community Policing Forum to say what can we do to revive the patrols in the evenings. And the gentleman who is coordinator that says he'll think about it. I said, but we can't think about it. Our people are under attack every evening. We need to do something about security patrols. We need to get the Community Policing Forum to help us with the evening patrols. I even gave an example that in some countries, old people like myself can donate petrol. We can buy diesel to help the patrollers. We can donate our vehicles, but we do it on a rotational basis and so on. So lawlessness is the big challenge around the Riviera Park, but I think the whole country. I don't want to say Riviera Park alone, but from our side here, we are under siege. Every night there is a break-in. Every day there is a break-in. So what do we do as a community? How do we help ourselves? I cannot provide answers, but I can just say crime and lawlessness, including noise pollution. Because when I came to Riviera Park, it used to be a very nice, quiet place. My family was in Botswana. I used to lock up and go at weekends. And I came back, I found my house, everything was intact. Now, when I go to buy a newspaper, I must rush back, and sometimes they cut my laptop with me. But I think maybe if I go across the laptop, it will be stolen there. So lawlessness is on the rise. There are issues about water, electricity, and so on. Again, we have opened the lines of communication with the management. Martin and I have even gone all the way up to the game park when Darius complained about the water leaks in the game park, which could be seen, I think, on Google Maps, if I'm right.
Yeah.
There were two big leaks which would affect the water pressure and supply.
Not just the game park, it's Cook's Lake as well.
And Cook's Lake.
is worse than the game
Yes.
park. Game park had been
It had been repaired. Yes.
well, again, it was temporary repair. It's not permanent repair.
Yeah, so we that item of Cook's Lake and the game park, we opened lines of communication with the contractor. I don't want to say much about it, but we were given the impression that the job should have been done by the end of July. It should have been ended up in February. They're supposed to replace the whole line, bring water to Mafeking and then repair the two major leaks. The one in the game park was successfully done, not successfully, it was temporarily done. Cook's Lake's one, they've run into bigger rocks requiring more drilling. But Martin, who is an engineer, knows that there are more challenges with the nature of the contract and so on. I can't say much, otherwise I may be sued for defaming people. But there are big challenges there. But we have been speaking to Nakamudri Molema, who are responsible for that project. We have been speaking to the city council people almost on a daily basis about water. We have done the same with the electricity. Riviera has been very helpful in terms of contacting ESCOM. Every time we have had problems, you know that at one time, whenever there was a scheduled, power outage, they failed to bring us back after that. So issues of electricity, water, lawlessness, noise, those are on the agenda. I don't know how we can tackle them. But I think from our side here, we have kept the line of communication open. It's not about noise pollution. We have noise pollution. So we have kept lines of communication open. We have tried everything. Some of those people in the council and other places happen to be my former students. Sometimes I abuse my position by talking to them. I call them even at night. And the butte says I'm dropping names, but I don't drop names. I just say, please, we can't continue like this. So sometimes they respond positively. Sometimes they say, we have informed the relevant bureaucracy, but nothing happens. But the point I'm making is that we have done our best, and we will continue to do so. I think that is the summary. Martin, have I left out anything? Secretary?
Well, you've given a good summary of your written report. The written report was circulated on the Telegram group as well.
So this report has been circulated, it's on the Telegram group. It's just a brief summary. We do more, but we owe it to you to support us and help us.
Are we still going to go on with the electricity side? Because Willem seems to be doing it on his own.
I think on the electricity side, as I said, Willem volunteered to communicate with ESCOM. We have the numbers as well, but as you have seen, sometimes Willem gets angry if I call ESCOM. So I've pulled out of, calling ESCOM because Willem wants to do it. I think there's no harm, we can leave him to do it. But we also have got the relevant contacts in terms of the regional management. The people who really help us most from ESCOM, they are interacting with the regional managers. So sometimes we phone them and they communicate with technicians here and nothing happens. But we have their contact numbers, but Vida has been very helpful. So maybe we need to do it on our behalf. Thank you very much. That is the summary of my chairman's report. I don't know if there are any questions or discussions. We are open to suggestions. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure protocol observed, Prof. or Chair. I read through the report and it was quite comprehensive what you've submitted, so I want to congratulate you on that. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
I want to make a comment on that El Nino. When it was circulated, can they go ahead with this thing or no? I can remember that less than I mark it no. You know, liquor license happened at that point. I can remember it, so
You can
it
find
must
it.
be somewhere.
Because you see, the El Nino and the also the called student accommodation.
Yeah.
These people, when the owners of the houses want to change from residential to business, the council was supposed to ask us, but I've seen in my neighborhood, they print in very small letters, sometimes in Afrikaans. So if you don't read Afrikaans, we never object. And the council said, but we informed you. So if we had enough money, those are the kind of issues that we need to instruct an attorney, to instruct an advocate to go to the High Court and
Sorry,
challenge
now,
it.
I'm under correction here, but I'm of the firm belief that if you want to change something like that, it must be on a big notice board in front of the property that you intend to ask for the rezoning. So hiding it in the papers is not a legal way out of this. They tried it there at the top, the property behind me. They wanted to rezone as well. They wanted to turn it into 112 living units and whatever have you. It was never printed in the paper. They had a board up there. It was halfway into a dirt road where it was there. And then somebody picked it up when they drove past and they took photos of this and whatever. We started objecting to this and whatever. And we blocked it on the basis of it was not clearly visible to the people who lives in the area. You can't put that escape route which you are talking about. We don't drive that escape route because you can't drive it. There's no longer a road. It's a dump. It's a total dump. Okay. So if you want to do that, you have to put it up on the main road that leads into our property. So that has been now abolished. And I believe that this residential property is being turned into accommodations for students. They should also apply to the same rules.
Well, they do have to, but we find it difficult to police. I mean, many of those places have had notices up outside. They're rezoning from residential 1 to residential 2A or something like that. I can't remember the numbers. But there's a process that most of them go through. They have to do that to get registered with the university, and a lot of them are. There's a few rogue ones that aren't. So
we have a problem with the student accommodation because now that
we've raised it.
If the people are not objecting to it, then afterwards you can't complain about it.
Yeah, no, we can. We got a line of communication with the chief accommodation officer of the whole of Northwest University. He's a guy called Herman, some kind of remember his name, but he's in Potch, and we've also been in touch with the accommodation officer here in Mafeking. We've rattled their cage quite severely.
I understand that, but the problem with this is now, you people keep on forgetting, you're all referring this to Northwest University. It's not, they're not all accommodation for the Northwest University. They're for Toletso, whatever have you. There's 101 different ones. I've spoken to them as well. And I asked them, and they said, no, we've got nothing to do with Northwest University.
And even the Northwest University, some are accredited, some are not.
Apparently there's only 3 that is accredited.
So we have a challenge there.
But the problem is, do we know, is this one for Northwest University? Is this one for this, or whatever have you? There's some in town as well.
We have no record. The whole town, if you go to Golf View, you go to Unit 6,
all over.
they are all university. And then weekends, the students are drunk and do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we can handle that issue. Yes, sir.
See, I've been very outspoken about this student issue. I think we were caught with our pants down. They advertise it there somewhere in the corner or whatever, maybe, I don't know. If you go and, just an example, biodiversity, they put those boards up clear and direct so that you can actually see what they want to do. For mining, for instance, out at, well, I just know at the Skullbelt. And they wanted to expand it. There's boards all over the show. We're going to be faced and I want to make a suggestion. It is for me surprisingly that those people who cause the humps or bumps, let's call it bumps in customers. It's not a hump. There's a regulation for the construction of that, if you want to call it like that. I've got a whole file of that. And actually, in fact, I'm surprised that there's no councillor here. And you know what? One day it's just going to be marbles to marbles. Take a TLB and take it all out. And I want to know who's going to stop me. If somebody's not going to get paid somewhere along the line, then there's going to be tire burning, stone throwing within a residential area. Then I can promise you, Chair, we're going to have war along any of these routes. Because I've got nothing to do with them, and I don't want anything to do with them. So the sooner the better they stop this practice, the better for everybody.
That's a suggestion.
So now let me-
But they're everywhere.
I don't know if you ever read about what is a speed up. The speed up is a 45-degree incline with a 400 millimeter top, flat top. That's a speed up.
Can't be 45.
It's a regulated thing. In Johannesburg, you won't find anything like this.
Humps.
This is not a hump, it's a bump.
So I
This
don't
is
know what's even
constructed
there.
The
afterwards.
municipality.
Yeah.
Then it's fine.
They've got
Paid
no
by
idea
those
of
people
what
in
they've
that
got to
road.
do. It's illegal, you can scrape it out.
Yeah, but they don't follow standards. I mean, look what happened even in our street, Leon. When they've come here and fixed the water, they come and fix a leak, they throw the soil back in the hole, in the street now, in the actual driving lane. They throw loose soil back in,
Yeah.
and they stick a couple of twigs in and a bit of that red and white plastic tape around it. I mean, that doesn't comply with any kind of SABS standard whatsoever. So they're doing what they like. They're not complying with any kind of standards. But I think we must look. We've been holding back really a little bit, and we didn't have a meeting for the last about 6 weeks or so. But fairly recently, there's a new municipal manager come in, and I think it's what we need to do, Prof, is request a meeting with the new municipal manager, because these people change all the time, and I suspect that the handover from one to another, they won't cover all our little issues. So we need to go there and just lay out the issues on the table. On the question of the El Nino thing, I don't think zoning is an issue there, because that whole little complex has got business zoning, obviously from day one. Although right at the beginning it wasn't a nightclub. The liquor board then granted a nightclub license when they built that shambles of a place, and they had to build it twice because the construction standards were so bad. You remember, I was watching the concrete going up, and it went up and it came down and it went back up again. But the liquor board is entirely, I've been there 3 times now. I've been with Louis Sorrell, I've been with Prof, I've been with brigadiers from the police station. They are entirely unsympathetic. Their attitude is, they've got a license, as long as they're complying, closing down with the time. What goes in the car, they wash their hands of what's going on in the car park. They say that's not their customers. So they don't take responsibility for it. And we pointed out, well, if you weren't here, nobody would come. But I said, well, it's just, he's been here, he comes with his lawyer, comes all lawyered up. And
In the early days of El Nino, if you don't know me, I'm the guy with a brown cruiser in this area. So I went in there with it, and I took all those yellow boxes, closures, out of the way, because they wanted to prohibit me from entering, going into a shop. Not that I wanted to go there, I wanted to prove a point. So you're not going to block anything there. So I made a comment on this whole environmental in terms of our refuse collection. So my proposal is still, and I haven't found them. Thank you for pointing out the contact person. is to actually turn those public spaces, because I believe those are zoned as parks. I must go and check that.
Public open space. Yeah.
Yes. So put that into a, let's call it a dump or a refuse collection area.
Like a little transfer depot, transfer station.
So that we must get, excuse my language, but let's get the riffraff out of the streets, out of our environment. So if they want to go and collect anything, they can go there. So get them out of your street and get them out of your house, because that's where the problem starts. So turn that into a dump, or you can, I mean, there's certain bins for certain things, so
Recycling.
exactly. So
Well, it's a recycling transfer station.
fence it off, whatever, it just makes the space where they can crowd or whatever they want to do a bit smaller. I feel for the people on the other side of that road. Really, if the guy was me, I would have been crazy by now. But
No, if it's handled well. I mean, I've been living in Mafeking for 25 years. Before I came in Johannesburg, we had sites like that.
yes,
Where there's a clean concreted area, and it's raised on the side where you drive in and you tip into a bin,
yeah.
and then it gets recycled there, and all the street kids are there, and they take out whatever they want, and what they don't use, that goes to a specific area where the garden refuse goes for composting, the steel goes for scrap metal, and then the rest, the municipality comes to collect on a weekly basis, and they take it out to the main dump site, which was in Honeydew in those days.
So I suggest that when we see the new municipal manager, we take these ideas with us.
If you look along the front or Christabel's, there's enough space to have a drive-through dumping, if I want to call it a dumping site, a drive-through where you can actually do that.
Can we move on?
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. I'm going to record that we've touched on these issues.
Yeah.
All of them are ongoing issues which we discuss at every single one of our monthly meetings. So it's good to know that the residents are actually feeling the same problems that we're feeling, you know, as the committee. So we are with them. We'll pick all these issues up and take them to the new municipal manager. But I think for the purposes of tonight's meeting, I'd like to move that we adopt.
And we'll give you feedback on the
Adopt and approve Prof's annual report.
Can I just make one last suggestion? In terms of wall and fence, Mark and myself we've actually discussed it. He says we must look at that piece between the park and that first house, and actually dig a trench, not a small trench, a proper trench, on the side of the stormwater canal, so that you can't get over. I mean, you must go through the stormwater canal, and right adjacent to that, you build this embankment. From what you've excavated.
Where's this?
Between the park and that first, what is it? Is it Mars or which?
No.
At the end of Magnolia, yeah.
Right down the corner of the bottom end of Langenhoven there. Is that what you mean? Along Magnolia.
That first section,
Parallel with
because
the
that's
railway.
where, because the police is not, I've been in 2 incidents there, and the riffraff is just creeping out of there. And they want to tell you everything that you want to know and don't want to know. So, because out of my own, when I go home, I just travel the fence of the park. And the stair story, we can elaborate on that, but I've got quite a number of them. So, I think that is a much cheaper solution to just dig a trench.
Like a moat.
Like so that if you go over here, you into this thing. And if you're in there, you're not going to come out.
Okay, can you just record that and we'll forward it up?
I need to have a chat with Leon about it to
Yeah,
understand the details.
we'll have a see.
Yeah.
We must go back and see what
Sketch me a
is that
section,
similitude with, and can we actually work with that?
We'll record that, then we'll have a private meeting with you.
That's
Can I move then that we can,
I don't know who
can I
that
move
is.
adoption and approval of Prof's annual report, please then?
Yes.
Can we see a
Yeah.
show of hands on it? Everybody, any objections? Everybody in favour?
Okay, thank you. So we'll take that out and follow through.
So, Prof, you said the new municipal manager is Janelle.
I think her name is Nell something. I will
Mwagezi.
find out. Yes, I've read the Republican Mail.
Yeah, she just relocated to Kirstenbosch, the family. They're opposite my house.
So they live here.
Yeah.
And she goes through the portals every day.
Yes, yes.
And over the speed bump.
Martin, can you please make the appointment as soon as possible?
She's not driving it here, she's driving 4x4.
We'll invite her. Even the speaker lives nearby, Martin.
Yeah.
The speaker let us down.
She's new here.